What is going on, Eagles family? I feel like this thing might be lagging a little bit here. I just was talking to a special guest that I have coming on. Wanted to make sure everything was clear. I apologize if it's a little shaky here. Usually it tends to clear up in a second. But yeah, hope everybody's having a good night. It's been a long quarantine, guys. So today I thought I'd bring a little something different. Of course, we're going to talk a little bit of Eagles, but brought somebody on that does a little bit of work with some Eagles players, and I thought it would be cool to just talk about some of the things that he does. So I'm going to introduce him now.
Hey,
What's going on, JDos? How you doing,
how's it
man?
going? How's it going? It's a little lagging right now. I don't know if I'm pretty clear on my end. Is it clear on my
You're
end?
clear, man.
Okay, yeah. How's it
Yeah, it
going?
likes to start off like that.
No problem. No problem. So yeah.
But anyways, I just wanted to bring you on today. I really loved what I saw. Your work with Jalen Rieger and Jalen Hurts, a lot of the other players that you were doing during the draft. And you started following me after I followed you, and I was like, oh, man. And I really thought that, you were pretty incredible. So I kept following and kept, watching what you were doing. And, man, you really, I think you're going to do big things. So I wanted to bring you on today. And why don't you tell us? I know you don't just do graphic designs. I know you do other things. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Well, I appreciate that. When you messaged me, it was a little incident. I guess we can talk about that later. The way that kind of came about, and it was kind of funny how we kind of intertwined and got connected there. But yes, I am a graphic designer, but I actually refer to myself as a digital content designer. I do photography, videography, and graphic design. I'm fairly young, I'm only 20 years old. And so I've been in the area of DMV, for most of my life. And the backstory of Philly, most of my family are from Philly, so I'm very much a Philly fan. However, I've been bleeding, a little bit of burgundy and gold for, at fault because it is a hometown area team. However, I know my roots. But other than that, spending my time designing for, the quite couple years. Now it's my second year in college, and slowly but surely I've been building up my clients. I don't know how or why, but I guess my work is good enough. But it's been quite a thrill, definitely, building up my clientele, building up the resume, and in terms of end goal, definitely Philadelphia is an end goal, but I'm trying to build up everything as I go, as they only accept graduates, unfortunately. So in a couple years or so, hopefully I'll be ready by then. So yeah.
That's awesome, man. Where is it that you go to school?
So I go over to school at Radford, Virginia. It's down there near Virginia Tech. If anyone's familiar with Virginia and the way it is, it's quite far from Philadelphia in itself. Every time I drive up to Philadelphia, it's quite different, for sure. DMV is quite different in its sense. I mean, first off, FedEx is not even in Virginia; it's in Maryland, so that tells you all you need to know how different everything is over here. So, but I've been over there for 2 years or so, and I'm almost done here. So
That's awesome. Now, one of the players I had mentioned, Jalen Hurts.
yeah,
You and I, we briefly talked. Honestly, this is like the first time I'm really meeting you, so I really wanted this to be, pure, genuine, getting to know you. And you started to tell me something, and I wanted you to save it for, the podcast here. So why don't you tell me a little bit? This is an awesome design you did here. You do a lot of work for these guys. Why don't you go ahead and run through the story for us of your process of working with Jalen Hurts?
So Jalen Hurts, interesting. First off, I've talked to some of Oklahoma staff, as in some of their designers, and they had the same experience as I did, in the sense that if you talk anything about football, same expression, no smile, no nothing. But if you talk about a different topic with him, he's ecstatic. First and foremost, it was crazy that night, the draft night. I would say, as I was. Well, I should say that I am actually part of Young Money Sports, and we spoke about this prior, and that's what I was working with for that night, freelancing for them. And long story short, when I got my my client list, I didn't know the exact client list until several days or so before the draft. And when I saw Jalen Hurts was up there along with Jedrick Wills, who went to the Browns, I was like, man, these are good picks. And then I was going down a list and, speaking with the agents I was like, okay, so main priority, it's draft night. Everything wants to be live. There's Jedrick right there. Yes, everything wants to be live and everything, has to be on time. And execution was very key that night, because it's wide range. So an announcement graphic needs to be made shortly after they're drafted, and that's from the main page. And then those swaps, that's what we call them, jersey swaps. First look of what they look like in their jersey would be posted optional from them. Jedrick was really quick. He posted several of mine as we went, and me and him have connected several times on that. Jalen is not a part of that. Jalen was a separate occasion. I'll get to that. Jalen Rager, we'll get into that in a second. But Jalen Hurts, he was the wild card. I think everyone was fair to say he was the wild card because with Jedrick and all of them, we knew I had about 3 guys first round. Easy. It's easier said than done. First round, we know they're going to be here, picked from this team to this team to this team. And then we got to Jalen. I was like, what about Jalen Hurts? And I had a pause. I was like, well, is he first round? Is he second round? Is he third round? And literally the honest answer was, it could be any round. If Patriots wanted to swing in the first round, it could grab him. You can look at any mock draft you have. The only thing we knew is that he wasn't going to go past the second or third round. And Lord and behold, here comes draft night. This is day 2. Day 1 went successful. I only had 1 guy go through. That was Jedrick. And then YGM, which is Uter, he went to the Panthers. That was another guy. And then I was like, okay, we're going through our list of guys. I'm like, where's Jalen? I was like, okay, where's Jalen? So I'm on call, and then I get a text message saying, and Eagles are coming up, and this is after the math of, the night prior of the whole CeeDee Lamb. And so the Philadelphia base is definitely riled up at this point. And if I'm not mistaken, I think several wide receivers are still up during that time Jalen was going to be picked, right? I don't know.
Justin Jefferson, yeah.
Yes. And then, for day 2, we got to fill up, you can several options, linebacker, everything, all these different options. Quarterback was not any of the ones that I came to mind. And literally, I had all these teams set up already because, you want to be prompt. Philadelphia was just not anything in my mind. And when I was told about 5 to 10 minutes before anyone else would know about it, I'm over here just sitting behind. I'm just like, there's no way Jalen Hurts just became an Eagle. Because I don't know if I wanted to be happy about it because he's going to, quite an organization that's going to take care of him, to say the least.
Yeah.
His leadership skills, he is very blue collar. He will put that work no matter what. He won't say anything about it, as in like his discomforts, anything like that. This is a guy who literally became the backup quarterback, came back, won championships. He knows the stories. He's a winner. And going from that to Philadelphia, where we just had a season where we can all agree that Carson answered all these questions, to have this thrown back in them, I was just like, wow. And my job was my job. I went and posted it, sent it out. As far as we've talked several times from then, but other than that, it's nothing about football. But I've talked to other people about it, and they can't wrap their heads around it. Now I think you go on ESPN here and there, you can see different podcasts. Now you're talking about, running the Saints, Taysom Hill this, Taysom Hill that. I'm just like, I don't see it. I'm never going to ask him about it. At the end of the day, I'm not an agent or a player.
Yeah.
It was quite an interesting night for sure. And in terms of anything, I'm just waiting. Anything communication wise, I'm just waiting to see what number he gets and what number he can tell me, and then that way we can ship that out. Because as far as I know, I think when people buy his jersey, I think he's last I checked, he was number 10 on the jersey list so far. A lot of people are buying his jersey, so he's number 10 in the list that's going on right now. And I think his placeholder is number 0, but we'll find out what number he'll pick shortly. In terms of announcements, I don't think he's really posted much about it either or said much.
No, I haven't seen it.
He's a fairly quiet dude. So in terms of T, I don't have anything on that, and I don't even ask. So that was a crazy night, though, for sure.
Yeah, I bet. And that's got to be hard, man, like being so close and being like, well, at least I get to do this work, so maybe I'll just hold off. But I imagine that you were definitely thrown off. Like,
I was thrown off so much so that in the morning, after the Twitter aftermath, I went in text messaged the agent that's really close with him, and I told him, I was like, you do know all this hatred and back talk and all, it's not towards Hurts. I hope he knows that. And he told me, he messaged me back. He's like, oh, we've had conversations. He's ecstatic. He's not even looking on Twitter. I'm just like, it's fairly rough. It was really bad for those 2 days. And it was funny because I saw a couple of tweets here and there, and they were like, we're not even mad at Jalen. You know, literally some tweets were specifically saying we are not mad at Jalen. And it was just crazy. And then I guess we can go into Jalen Reagor after that. For sure, we can roll into that, I guess. That was about 2 or 3 days after. Swaps are going on. Kayvon Wallace, we've had conversations back and forth too. And I don't know if you have anything of mine of Kayvon in there, but that was going around, and basically Twitter was going around, and with me and Twitter, I'm big on just posting content, sharing the content. Literally every time I post, I send it to Gail. Hey, if you want to share this, that's yours. I mean, I'm not even asking for that. There's Kayvon. Remember that one going out, and I'm just literally telling them, I'm like, the more the people that can have it, they can have it. Do I want likes and retweets? I don't care. If you look at my Twitter, some of them 200 likes, some of them 80 likes, and then Jalen's, I think that thing was like at 22,000 likes or something like that. Man. I'm just like, Lord. But my deal is I don't care about that. What I care is that people, hey, it's excitement. You know, football, yes. It's missing right now. It really is. And as a designer, I can kind of fill in that hole because, you know, for a lack of better words, you know, Wallpaper Wednesdays, it's kind of lacking. To me, in my personal like view, it's kind of lacking. You know, I was like, if I can make something creative, you know, it's a win-win situation. You know, my portfolio gets built, I get more connections, fans get, you know, what they want. It's a win-win situation, and I love the Eagles and I love their players. And when it comes to Jalen, it was a funny thing because we spoke, and I don't know why, but it never crossed my mind. But Monte Reagor is his father. Yep. And I got to connect with him. I call him Coach, and he's amazing. You know, he's just like, you know, thank you for doing this for my son. I was like, no, thank you. I mean, awesome. You know, it's awesome, you know. And you know, I sent him several different pictures and things like that, and we kind of worked. And I was quiet about that for several days because I remember people were like trying to figure out what number he was going to wear, and a lot of people did not want him to wear 13. As we all know where that 13 came. A lot of people did not want him to wear 13. He asked me, actually, I'll show you the DM later, but he literally asked me, what do you think? He's like, I'm thinking 13, 18. I literally told him, I kid you not. No shade, no nothing. I love Nelson Aguilar and all. You know, he was very crucial, but I told him 13 has a grain of salt. Is a grain of salt number in the fan base. And I told him, I was like, you were going to do amazing. I know you are, but starting off, you know, 13, let's go with 18. And I told him 18 has a strong number, although I believe DBG had that number and all that. But the last one we really had was Jerry Maclin. And I told him, I was like, for me, if you wanted to pick a number, and if I were to pick a number, especially since we have Deshaun back and all that, I would go with 18. And he plays very much like Jeremy Maclin if I were to think about it. But that was an exciting thing we had planned for 5 days or so, and then we finally sent it out. He tweeted it out, and he Instagrammed it out. And since then, I think we've done like 2 or 3 more projects, and we have more coming up. But he's an amazing dude. He's ready to work. And man, the funniest thing is I asked him, I was like, "Is that pro day speed really real?" And he told me it's real. So it's gonna be fun out there. So for sure.
I can't wait to see him. I think, you know, obviously that was kind of how we connected because of Jalen Reagor. And that was me, you know, also another connection between us is Gail from 4th and John. And
yes, Gail's awesome.
He is the man. And Gail, you know, has me right for him. And he had asked me if I wanted to do this. It was called Talk to Prospect. And we had to pick a wide receiver.
Yeah.
We thought we'd want for the draft who was the perfect fit. So I went with Jalen Reagor because, I mean, do I really need to explain it? The video explains it all. And we talked about him for weeks coming up to the draft. So when it actually happened, a lot of people, like you had said, were a little turned off. They wanted Jefferson. They wanted some other guys. And then in the second round, they got even more pissed. So people were just all around pissed off the first couple days, and
It was bad. It was really bad.
it was, man. But I'm stoked.
I'm very like when it comes to that things. I'm very what's the word? Not biased, but I'm very relaxed when something happens. I'm like, okay, there's a reason. You know,
I try to put it into context.
Yeah, put it into context, and I'm like, I'm very realistic. I'm not just tweet something out expression. A lot of people are like that, and I'm just like, man. And the thing with the Jalen thing is, I always had Jalen up there because I always wanted us to stay there. And this is before me meeting Jalen. I was like, I wanted us to stay there because we would have more picks. And then if we were to trade up, then it would only be for Henry Ruggs. In my mind, that would have been, it's fine. No, Justin Jefferson being there, that was a little surprising because I was like, man, it's a toss up. However, I think prior to the draft, we saw a lot of traffic to Jalen, rightfully so, though. And I think the main thing was the speed, him being able to play outside, because Jefferson was always in the slot, if I'm not mistaken.
He went out a little, but predominantly
in the slot, predominantly in the slot. And I think the extra it was Jalen. I think so. I think that, I mean, it's going to be crazy when he comes out there. And I told him, I was like, man, whether it be the first, and because I talked to a lot of the DB guys too, so I'm kind of fair on both sides. And I was like, it's either the DB is going to force a turnover, or is you going to touch a touchdown pass. I don't know, whichever one's going to be first, but you guys are going to be going crazy. That's what I told him. And I told him, I literally said, I was like, your father knows as well. Philly fans, they'll boo you if you're not doing right, but if you're doing right, they'll love you.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's going to be good.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think, some people are just, and Philly fans are tough. And, we're all kind of going through this quarantine, so everybody's stuck inside. And I think they're just feeding off of what ESPN was telling them.
Yes.
And, that was the consensus pick was Justin Jefferson. He was still there. Yes. So people were pissed off. Now, I think once they see him on the field, that whole attitude is going to change, and everybody's going to be buying themselves the number 18 Jalen Reagor jersey. So
what's crazy is if CD never went to the Cowboys, I think this is the perfect draft.
Exactly.
There's two things. It's kind of impossible to think about because it's what happened. CD never went to the Cowboys, and if Jalen was drafted a round later, people would have been fine because Kayvon, and there's another guy I talk to a lot, he is a steal.
Yes, he is.
He is a steal. And a lot of people that know is the Brian Dawkins relationship he has. Yep. He is a steal, absolute steal. So really, when you look at the draft as a whole in a vacuum, it's a great draft, in my opinion. And to be honest, with Carson the way he is, it's not going to affect him. If anything, he got what he wanted, and he's out there. And it sucks because I think we've had this conversation too. Carson's a prime target for all this stuff. He's never going to say anything. To be honest with you, I don't think he even knows. I mean, his offensive lineman always talks about it, not him. So it's quite interesting that he's over here. So it's going to be interesting for sure.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Now that people have time to really, settle down and look at things, we talked about, the next day, it was. First off, it was overlooked the fact that we got Davian Taylor, who I'm really excited to see what he's got. So people are so pissed about some people around the first and the second, clearly most people the second. Well, the next day we talked about, please, we need to start this day off right. And you talked about it, man. Kayvon Wallace. My God, you said about the relationship, him being roommates with Brian Dawkins' son. And, Dawkins himself made a post like, let this kid see himself. And we are going to. But we know when we see something, we know. And this kid could be that diamond in the rough. He could be that next. I'm not saying he's going to be him, but I'm not even going to say it. You know what I mean? Let's just hope the best for the kid. And I'm really excited.
It's an interesting DB core now. It's a DB room. You went from basically running in the playoffs with, fifth, sixth stringers that we've never seen before. And you throw it in now these guys and Rodney's staying and all that. It's crazy how packed the DB core is. Quavon LeBlanc is another guy I speak to. I remember thinking to myself, man, Quavon's going to be solidified slot guy. Now you got Nicky in there. Now you got Nicky in there. Now you got Sidney in there. That might be thrown in there. Where's Rasul going to go? I'm just like, man, I know 1/3 of the team. I'm like, y'all friends still? Because it's going to be really competitive when things are going in. but they are all winners. And one thing with Kevon, he's funny because we're still trying to figure out his number. I will say this because this is information I do know. 42. He's keeping it for the moment, but he does want to change that until as time goes. So we'll see what happens with that. He did say after virtual camp and all that, we'll see what the final cuts will look like, and then he'll get the number. But that's why we're kind of waiting for that one. So that's some inside tea for that one. 42. He doesn't like 42. That's for sure. That's why there's no official postings about it. Really, he just likes tweets in there and there. But it's interesting. So yeah, 42. I don't like 42 either. I believe Andrew had that last year, right? Andrew Sendejo. Yeah. I believe he had that last year. Yeah, he does not like 42. So we'll see what number he gets after.
Nice. Yeah, I saw that. I do like little things to get things prepared, and I had all the veteran numbers. People giving out their numbers, but some of the rookie teams gave out some numbers, and we got Rieger, and you said about Kayvon with 42.
Yeah.
We'll see where these guys end up, but I'm excited to see your pictures, and I'll definitely be sharing away on those because, it's all we got right now. And we talked about this briefly before we got on. It's like, this is our time to shine, and I figured it's time for you, someone like you, to definitely be seen. And I don't have the biggest followings, but I definitely loved your work. So
I appreciate that. Yeah, when you messaged me, I was like, oh, I mean, like after the Jalen thing, I got a lot of DMs and things like that, especially on Instagram, because it's not, people don't really think this is his @ on Instagram. Why don't I just look up his @ on Twitter? They'll message me because, Jalen will post something and he'll tag me. And then people are like, can I have the wallpaper version of this? I just send them my tweet post. I'm like, you can just download it off of here. And they tell me, they're like, oh, you replied? I'm just like, I'm just a 20-year-old dude, man. I'm a young man. This is for you guys. Like I said, it's just funny. I'm just smiling when you messaged me and we connected. I was just like, hey, I give you the time of my day because you gave me the time of yours. You reached out and I made you smile. That's my ultimate goal, especially during a time like this. So, hopefully later on we'll look back and I'm like, I remember him. I remember this young guy talking to me and making content. But
what I loved was I saw on your Twitter, right? And you guys can follow him right here at the bottom. It's @ I am JDos. You guys can definitely follow him, but it starts off and it said something along the lines of, age is just a number. And, right away I was like, oh, okay. Like, and I'm never.
It's some of my motto.
That's awesome, man. And it doesn't matter, man. If you've got the talent, then, I spent most of my life doing something else. And it was like, I finally got pushed toward, my near-death experience pushed me to do something I was passionate about. So if you're passionate and you're good at it, dude, you deserve recognition. So I wanted to bring you on.
But my motto is.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, tell it.
Yeah, my motto is age isn't a roadblock, but an opportunity. And that's only going to last for so long as I'm, growing up. But that's my current motto. And I tell a lot of people, I'm like, hey, and the funny thing is it's not a roadblock, but I keep mentioning, some people always tell me, oh, it's funny when the Eagles post something on a Wednesday or something like that. It's always Wednesdays because it's Wallpaper Wednesdays. Yeah. And people always at me and they're like, man, why don't you hire this guy? Blah, blah, blah. And I always tell them, I'm like, I'm not a graduate yet. Not a graduate yet. Because they have a very, very good internship program. I mean, amazing talent going out of there. But I got to keep working, and it's funny because I was supposed to go ahead and, for fan base wise, I was actually supposed to join the Redskins fan base this year for the summer. I was going to be a team photographer. And we can get on the story with Gail later on. But, I was getting that in the roots and in the workings. And then unfortunately with COVID, that had, canceled down literally in a week's time. I mean, when you talk about fast moving, it went from me getting a foot in the door. I was so excited. I was like, man, I'm finally going to be, in NFL. I know it's not the team I want, but I can do something at this age where not a lot of people can say, hey, I can be on the field. I can do this. And I already have some of these connections. These guys are, pulling in for me. And it's crazy. And then all of a sudden, a couple of days go by, news start breaking out. And then I get, a phone call saying, hey, JDos, just letting you know you can't come in and, you can't get your ID done. You can't get this done because, we want to take a precaution, to the point where the next week where we go, all internships are canceled for the rest of the summer. And I'm just like, man, because, best case scenario, work to get a full-time job, and I'll be here for the season, and it's quite interesting. And I think the biggest pain in the butt is when the schedule got released, and the Eagles are coming over here first week, and I'm just like, man, could have been, could have been me. So I told Carvana, and I was like, hey, I'll try to see you if we're able to be out there, but I won't be on the field. And he told me, like, I understand, man. So it's gonna be cool. So it's gonna be cool for sure.
That's awesome, man, and I appreciate your stories are in depth, and that's the other one we want to tell. I was laughing pretty good, before we started the video, because you started telling me about Gail, and with you being from Maryland, for anybody that missed that part,
Yeah, Virginia. So DMV area, so Northern Virginia. So yeah, but FedEx is in Maryland. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. So Northern Virginia, and I saw that you worked with Darius Geis and things like that. And
he's a good dude. Very, very, very high character. To say the least. Say again?
A lot of Eagles fans wanted him a couple of years ago.
Yes. So. I told him that. And we don't talk football either. He's very much like Jalen. Don't talk football with him. But I do toy him with him at that. And I said, man, you could have been an Eagle. He's like, why not? He said, why didn't you draft me?
Still time.
I mean, hey, but I think he was on my top board too. I remember that year very clearly. Time flies though.
Yeah,
but, man. He's about 15 or so minutes away from me. We hang out all the time. We talk about it all the time. We did, shoot the stuff, trash talk and all that. I think one of the biggest things he ever told me was the craziest defender he's ever gone up against was Fletcher Cox, because he said nobody can block that man when he runs through. So that was kind of funny. But
that's awesome.
I'm wishing big help for this dude, man. Yeah, big help for him.
Yeah, man. I feel bad, man. You never want to see anybody. I don't care who it is, man. So I hope he stays healthy as well. But speaking of the Redskins, dude, you had a hilarious story.
Yeah.
And I just love it. And the Eagles fans love that. We want to hear, personal upfront. So you can go ahead and tell that Eagles Redskins week 15. You remembered it in your head. You remembered.
Yeah, I was trying to remember. I was trying to track down the week exactly, because it was such a crazy end of the season. Those 4 games were such a crazy end of the season. And since I'm in there, I'm just like, man, we got to win this game. And I don't remember if the Cowboys were playing that same day or late a little bit after, but I was like, regardless, we had to win that game. I think that was to make us 7-7 or something like that. Or something like that, something like that. And basically I was just like, man, and I had the luck to be on the field that day. And I remember walking around and, getting to know some of the people, because again, during that time, I was trying to get ready to be like, okay, this might be my future job, blah, 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 being out there. And I remember looking at, the end zone, and I'm seeing just a wall of green, and this is like pregame, and you look to your left, or the way I was standing, look to your left, and you see, not that many Redskins fans. I was just like, okay, not that many Redskins fans. Look on the other side. All you see as players come out screaming their name, I'm like, dang, this is Eagle Nation right here. I'm like, this is Eagle Nation. And then I thought about it. I was like, Redskins have nothing to lose here, which means it's a prime game for them to win, if there's something to happen. But then I thought to myself, I was like, Wentz has not lost to the Redskins like that. I don't think it ever really.
Lost to my memory. Since 16 to the Redskins.
Yeah. And I mean, he's absolutely godlike. And that's what we got to see. I mean, that pass, I remember that touchdown to Miles. I was sitting right there. I was like, wow. I was like, wow. Amazing. I look in the replay because I missed it. I missed it live. I had to look in the replay. I was like, wow. And it was crazy because Gale is right in that little box on the field behind the field goal stand. And I remember messaging, I Twitter DM'd after the game. I was like, were you over there? And then he basically, I looked at his profile, and then Lord and behold, he's over here celebrating with Nigel and all of them from that touchdown, that fumble touchdown at the end. So I need to send him some, because I actually have access to some of the pictures from that day, and he's in there. So that was a crazy day. And from then on, I knew we had all the momentum to continue to go, because Greg Ward, man, that was a Greg Ward day too. That Miles Sanders run. I mean, if you remember correctly, that game was not in our favor from the very on. I mean, it was a 1-play touchdown, missed tackle, had a field day. And Terry had a field day, and all the respect to Terry, because I love these guys too. The Redskins, I love them. But, like, he wasn't touched.
Terry, man.
He wasn't touched. I mean, he missed tackles was basically the bane of our existence that day.
Thank God we got Darius Slay.
That is one guy that's hard. That's hard. Hard guy to track down. it's a hard guy to track down, and I can't wait to hopefully one day. God bless. Hopefully one day. I told Gravon, hey, help me out. He said I haven't even got his number yet. So hopefully one day I get to connect with him. Him and one key thing in my life is Deshaun Jackson, because when I was younger, I became an Eagle fan as the Michael Vick era was going on, and I was like back in the 2010s, which I would be like 10 years old, and it's crazy. Like that's a one guy, that's a hard guy to track down, and hopefully one day LeSean comes back and retires. I don't know, but those two, I mean, definitely, it's crazy to think that in 10 years' time he comes back.
Really,
after all that. I mean, I remember all the times, all the Sundays he'll come over, and every time he plays against Midnight Green, he's guaranteed a touchdown, guaranteed a touchdown. And so it's a blessing to talk to these guys, because, like, again, sometimes I'm in a moment, I'm like, how am I talking to these guys? I'm not a reporter. I'm not in the media. I'm just creating work, and they always tell me, hey, you're a young dude. You'll do the work. It's lit in their terms. That's what they always say, lit or fire. And then they post it. That's one thing for them to have it and have to connect it, but for them to post it and share it, I mean, that's awesome. I mean, that's what I do to work for, to have everyone have these things. And it's crazy because, sometimes people, I've had some reporters and things like that, especially for the Redskins, because I have very strong ties with Darius. We're sometimes seen hanging out together, and they message me, can you give me inside information? We don't even talk football. That's one of the rules I have. I don't talk football unless it's about numbers or what pictures or anything like that. Because at the end of the day, I'm 20. Some of these guys, like Jalen and all them, we're all 20-year-olds.
Yeah.
We're all 20-year-olds. And people forget that. People forget that for sure.
You don't want to disrespect them because every second of their day is football. So
it's like football.
To get away from that. So that's pretty awesome of you, and that'll take you a long way, man. It really will. Yeah. And I mean, you talk about Deshaun Jackson, man. That's a guy.
That's one guy I hope I track down one day.
Try to track his mom down. Something I don't know, because one time, like, I love this dude, and I always tell my hilarious story of, like, I wanted him just like I wanted Jalen Rieger. He was like somebody I had to have in the draft, and we were all partying and having a good time, my friends. And I was like, dude, I'll call my mom right now. If we draft Deshaun Jackson, we draft Trevor Laws. I wanted to punch through the TV, come back 5 picks later and take Deshaun Jackson. I had to call my mom and go to church the next day. She was just like, why are you coming? I'm like, Deshaun Jackson, baby. So I've loved the dude forever. But last year, I actually messaged him, and his mom told him that story and was like, dude, I think you need to come home. We need a speedy receiver. And that day, he got traded back to the Eagles.
Him coming home.
Dude,
I'm also a Miami Heat fan. So him coming home, I had the same expression of Dwayne Wayne coming home from when he was with the Cavs. So I was just like, man, it was crazy, because we'd spent so many years trying to draft the next Deshaun Jackson, and then we ended up getting Deshaun Jackson back. I mean, and then literally the first game he plays, he was tearing it up. Literally, he was tearing it up. Man, it's going to be crazy, because now he's going to be back, because that connection was something real. Because, a lot of people, they throw shade at Wentz for throwing the Ertz all the time. Do you ever think why you throw the Ertz all the time if no one else can get separation? Oh,
he's the master, dude, and that's for sure. And everybody holds that connection with Jackson, and that's the point. Like, for every story that you hear, like, everybody has something where it's like, we welcome him with open arms, and it sucks that he got hurt, but with him back healthy, and teaching Jalen Rieger and all the other additions we made, I think we're in for a really good ride. And I think you're about to, be helping these guys out at a really cool time. And I think we're all about to be a part of something special again, So
yeah, it pains me, because, like, it's hard to track Deshaun, but Deshaun likes our picks. And just, like, he likes the pictures. He likes it. Him and Jalen Mills likes the pictures. So I'm like, dude, can I get a message back or something like that? Well, so one day, Jalen's another dude. I don't know. I just have a thing with LSU guys, because they're very high character, very motivated. Swag is just ultimate what they have. All the LSU guys. Now you're quick with these. You're quick with these. So,
trying to learn this stuff.
Yeah, I made that literally right after he changed his number, and it was a good story that he changed his number. It was quick. I was like, man, him changing his number in the recent, because I remember Nicky announced that he was wearing 31, and everyone was going crazy, like, oh, is Jalen changing his number? And he's changing his position. I mean, this is a stacked DB core. He's
Yeah.
under a 1-year deal, so I mean, it's a prove it deal.
Yep.
At the end of the day, even with the broken down secondary we had, when Jalen was inserted, instant, instant energy. I mean, talk about a guy who give up a 15-yard incompletion. He'll give you energy. I mean, he'll do nothing in the play but give you energy. So,
Yeah, I
mean,
agree. And he's one of my favorite players. And we talked about for years that he
great
was
leader.
used incorrectly, really because of injury.
Yeah.
And, now that we are getting healthy, we added some people. We got Slay, Nickel Roby, you talked about. And then you talk about adding Will Parks. You did a picture for him, too.
Will. I will say this about Will. Will is Philly.
Yeah,
I mean, he is from Philly, but speaking with his mother, man, Will is Philly. He'll go crazy on Twitter sometimes, saying some mumbo jumbo. I don't know what he's saying. I don't have nothing. I don't know what he's saying, but he is crazy about football. He will tell you straight up. There's no other set of DBs. He puts himself in the top 10 of DBs that comes out of Philly, and rightfully so. He is so versatile, and I can't wait till he gets on that field. And it's a blessing that I get to know him and talk to him about that, because he talks smack about that stuff. He takes that stuff personally. And him coming over, because I was a big Will Parks fan when he was over at Denver, because he was very crazy. Him and Chris Harris, which is crazy how that situation went down. But because I wanted Chris Harris to come back down here too if Darius Slay didn't happen. But because Will Parks, tremendous player, and I think he slowly got that starter minutes coming up as he was going, and now that he's over here, very versatile. So it's very interesting to see how this DB core definitely shapes up. And talking to these guys, they don't say anything about beating this person, beating this out, because again, we don't talk about it. But I want to see how that camp is going to be if a camp does happen, because man, them going at it with the receivers too, man, it's gonna be fun.
Well, that's the thing. We talk about, you add people like Darius Slay, Nickel Roby, and that makes the other people better. So
yes.
Will Parks' addition, him and Jalen Mills, along with Kayvon Wallace, are going to compete to really fill that void that Malcolm Jenkins left. So it's going to be awesome. And I agree with you right there. They're all versatile. They can play corner. They can play safety. So
with Will, I think he
is awesome.
Yeah, I think with Will, he did play a lot of that sub linebacker packaging, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
That boy can tackle. That boy can hit. So I'm so excited to have Will go crazy out there. So that's gonna be fun. I'm more for me actually. Another thing I kind of want to touch on. I don't want to go into different things, but with Will too, especially with Quavon, their foundations. I can't wait to work on those foundations too. That's one of the goals I have. But definitely, I can't wait. So stay tuned to that stuff. So we're working on some of that stuff. So I can't wait to we get to that stuff. Obviously, COVID has to go away before we start doing camps and things like that for kids and things like that. But I will say that Will and Quavon, both of them, we've been talking about that, especially with Will's mom. That they can't wait till we start getting stuff rolling for some fans and things like that. So hopefully that'll happen too. So.
That's awesome. And and that's the thing. It's like we have to keep saying, like if and when, and it's like, but when it does, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be some great competition. And I know we can't talk to them, but hopefully it gets time to where we don't have to and we can just watch it. And that's obviously, but we'll try to, in the meantime, give people the news. And, now that I found you, I'm definitely going to be sharing all your pictures and all the stuff you do like that. But any kind of foundations, anything you do, I always try to share that stuff. So I appreciate you coming on, but wrapping up, if anybody has any questions, you can comment now, but I'll let you, any final thoughts you have or any kind of stories or anything that you can think of that you want to say, JDos, I'd let you have that time now.
I really don't say much, really. You just made me talk the whole time. Because really, again, I can't stress it enough. Like, I'm just young, I'm just trying to make content, and I appreciate you having me on here, because I was like, when you asked me, I was like, oh, I can do it today, because really in reality, I'm not doing much besides making content and trying to get out of college and get myself ready for the NFL. Unfortunately, what happened this year, this would have been my first NFL year at a young age, but I'm gonna have to wait till next season, I should say. So hopefully the right eyes see it. That's my main goal. If anything, I want everyone to see it, but the main eyes over there in Philadelphia area. Hopefully, I get to get that attention. I've spoken to Gail about it, and he told me they're watching. So hopefully, things wrap around. And at the end of the day, I'm just trying to give back. Because it's given me so much joy as a football fan. Just disappointment, yes, but that's part of growing up.
Definitely.
For sure. It's part of growing up, having those failures. And that's why you get excited to wake up on a Sunday. I mean, at the end of the day, that's why you get excited. And it's different than enjoying the game from the TV screen and then talking to these players personally. That's a different experience that I can have than other people, really, and for say. And it's not I talk to these guys, and some other people hit me, oh, you must enjoy the money they don't really give me that much money. I mean, here and there, to be nice, but other than that, I'm not in it for the money. Because again, we're all 20-year-olds, and having that experience, having that relationship is so key.
Yeah.
Because that's what you live for. That trust. For them to hit me up, hey, make this. First off, some of them I will say, I'm not gonna say who, but some of them are like high school athletes, meaning they want to have this, and this, and this. And I'm just like, I don't have the time for that.
Yeah.
But it's quite an amazing team, and I can't wait, because for the first time ever, I can say I can actually know what's going to happen, kind of in a sense where I'm like, dude, these guys are ballers. These guys are going to go out there and perform, and I can't wait.
You're growing up with them, man.
Yeah, because some of these guys throughout the years, we've had some of the most injured teams going into the playoffs, and it's just insane. People blame medical staff and things like that. I don't even know, because I don't know what's in the inside, but it's just like outside looking in, people forget that we've had the most injured riddled teams. I mean, you go back to the Dallas games, all those Dak Prescott games, who is he throwing against? Let's be real. Who is he throwing against?
Games. Yeah.
Crazy games. And you have all those, there's a big reason why, if you go to those Dallas games, especially, and I guess the closure, for me, you look at those touchdown interception ratios, Wentz is out of the park. You would think Wentz won those games, but he didn't, So it's going to be,
stay healthy around him.
Yeah. That's Mr. Untouchable for me. To know if I made it there is whenever I get in contact with that man, because he's such a good dude. His AO1 Foundation, Audience of One, that's
man,
amazing what he does. I mean, talk about a role model. I mean, you have Don McNabb of all people talking about him, and he still doesn't say a word.
Yep.
That's LeBron level for me. So
he's GOAT status, and I think people forget in 2017 he was leading this team to the Super Bowl. Nick Foles ended it, and I love him forever. But Carson Wentz will be one of the best quarterbacks ever if he stays healthy. I truly believe he could be great, because I mean, we've seen what he's done with not even close to. I mean, decent talent. They made the NFL, but let's be real here. If he had some starting quality receivers, this kid's gonna light it up. I mean, with Rieger this year, I'm excited.
Yeah, and I tell people whenever we have arguments, I'm like, you judge him on those check down throws, the Ertz, blah blah. I'm like, okay, go pull up his touchdowns in the end zone, because I think he has the highest ratio of touchdowns in the end zone. If I'm not wrong,
what they want to see.
Yeah, and I think he's only ever had like one interception in there in the end zone.
Oh, it's something ridiculous. It's
like it's better than Aaron Rodgers and all that, and it's crazy. I'm like, go look at all those touchdowns in the end zone, see those tight windows. And I saw a tweet earlier, and I was just laughing before we got on. I was just like, man, someone said something along the lines like, we get amazed about Mahomes and all that. There was a Wentz before Mahomes. There was a Wentz before Mahomes.
Oh, they'll remember this year.
They'll remember.
Jalen Rieger will help him.
And that's the last topic too. Andy Reid. I love how he got a ring. I was so happy he got a ring.
No doubt. I was happy for him too, man. It's been a long ride for that man, and I was part of all of it, really. I mean, growing up, watching him as an assistant, obviously he was the Packers, and then he came.
I was too young for that.
Yeah, I'm a lot older than you, but man, it's nuts to see him finally come back around, and I was happy for him for sure. And the Patriots not being there, that made me happy. To see Tom Brady, to know that we're the final team to beat Tom Brady and Bill Belichick in Super Bowl. Well, forever.
For a moment there, I think Nick Foles had the only touchdown for like the longest.
Yeah, for like 2 years, because that Rams Patriots Super Bowl.
Oh God, I could not even speak about the Rams. if I ever join the Rams media team, God forbid this is all recorded and they'll back talk about it. But man, that was disappointing to watch.
Yeah, man, that was real bad. I will agree with you there. Definitely bad.
But yeah, other than that, I mean, things are coming. Things are coming. I'm excited. I mean, all we can do is wait, anyways. So God bless though, for sure. It's gonna be all right though.
Yep. I agree with you, man. And, I can't wait to see the work. There is some work to be done, thankfully, in this time. So when the numbers come out, I know you'll be making your work. And I always get the news to these people as quick as I can. So as soon as your work's out, I'll be popping that as well. So I look forward to, seeing what you do in the future, man. And I really do appreciate you coming on today, man.
No, thank you, man, too, man.
I'd love to have you come back on later, and we'll see how much further you've grown in life. And
you gotta throw Gail in here. You gotta throw Gail in here. He's so soft spoken. I gotta tell him about that. He's really soft spoken when he talks. I don't know, like for a guy, you don't think that comes out of his voice.
I know.
The guy that was watching the stream yesterday, I was like, he doesn't sound like that. Where I would think.
Yeah, and he's so knowledgeable and
very knowledgeable. We
started talking years ago, and like he's been following me along this whole ride. And I actually asked him if he was interested. I told him I had a guest tonight, and he's like, maybe we could do it tomorrow. So I was going to try to bring him on with you, but unfortunately, he's a little busy. Understand?
He's been nothing but supportive whenever we message, and I'm thankful for him too.
Awesome.
Yeah.
He literally gave me the writing job because we were sitting at the link. He invited me and my girlfriend, and him and E-Rock met right at the 50-yard line, and we were talking for a little bit, and they invited us up to go up to the press box, and they were asking everybody who the Eagles were going to draft. So I said Andre Dillard, and after that, he was like, all right, so did you want to start writing? I was like, all right, man, but he's been helping me way before that. Like, he's truly a genuinely good person. So I'm glad that, we all make these connections. And
it's a small world. You never know.
I'll get you on one of these times I have him on, man, because
definitely let me know.
You're an artist, your football too, so I really loved it, man. It was really awesome having you on.
Appreciate that, man.
Well, it wasn't a very lively audience tonight. We had some viewers, but nobody asking any questions. I apologize for that, but we'll definitely have you on again. And I hope everybody has a great night. Thank you for those that did tune in, and hopefully we'll talk to you guys soon. As always, before I say that, follow this guy at I am JDos right down there. Follow him. Make sure to follow him. It's great work, and he's going to be doing a lot for a lot of our favorite players. So stay tuned, guys. Hope everybody has a great night. Go Birds!